But that's all right. It's me and you. We got a special kind of friendship.
I am not your friend.
Sure you are. Fishing buddy?
Sure you are, fishing buddy. I love that line. I had a buddy of mine from Oklahoma. That's what he started calling me from that point forward. Fishing buddy? I like hunting. I get grossed out by fishing. Ladies and gentlemen, Miklos Broszewski, comrade Miklos Broszewski is here, along with a true American, Pat Broderick, who just had a birthday. So I hope everybody wishes Pat a happy birthday. You turned 76.
Yeah.
And you're the same age as my business partner, John M. Del Vecchio, that wrote the 13th Valley of Vietnam War book. Yeah. And I think you're 4 years younger than my boss. I worked for Dale Dye from Warriors Incorporated, did Band of Brothers and all that shit. And he's my main boss. I do book covers for him. Yeah. And you're not quite there though, Mike, because I think you're what, 70?
I was 76.
What? I thought you were like closer to 70.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah. I'm 73.
You're 72.
Yeah, no, I just turned 72, but thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it.
Oh, then I reversed you guys.
I don't
So
know.
it's Mike that's the old fucker here.
That's right.
Yeah, I just look older than Mike, okay?
Well, you
I'm
got
so
that
old.
grizzled look of a guy from the old West. I grew up in Phoenix. You look like a lot of the old guys we see around there.
I would too if I put a hat on, a cowboy hat. I'm so old I saw Hendrix.
You saw what?
I saw Hendrix.
Yeah.
Oh, Hendrix. You saw him play.
Yeah.
Where?
I did too.
That's
Mitchell,
awesome.
South Dakota.
Yeah.
No, what about no, Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison.
Nobody played Mitchell except Lawrence Welk. I saw him in Mitchell.
Yeah, I loved Lawrence Welk growing up. It was one of my favorite shows to watch as a boy. Because you get those girls on there singing, man, and I'm like, those girls are hot. Let's see. Anima is in the chat, not here. This is my fiance. Normally, she's part of the crew.
Great.
And looks like we're going to get slowed down on getting married, Miklos.
Congratulations.
Well, we can't do it until she gets the fiance visa, and I don't see that happening anytime soon with all the shit going on with immigration.
Where's she from?
Austria, Vienna, a first world country.
Shouldn't have any problems.
She should be good.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, she
I'm the
should
one
be
who's-
fine.
I'm the one who's fucked.
Well, they have not contacted us. I have to contact my senator now to ask for his assistance because they should have got a hold of us earlier this month and didn't happen. So it's like, oh, well. Actually, it was last month they were supposed to contact us. But we'll see. We've got, let's see, Gambit is here. What's up, buddy? Gambit's the one who gave me the name, the Mighty Gert. Let's see.
Snorty?
I thought I saw. Yeah, there we go. There's Snortopus. Huber is here, and it's just those guys right now in the chat.
Devil Flyer Momentum. Welcome.
Oh, hello. That must be somebody you guys know.
Yeah.
I was about to say because he's new to this channel.
And
Hi, Penny. We love you, Penny. So we have a dedicated audience, and I kind of like that. They tend to be really rude, but funny rude. Let's see. Austria's passport is in the top 10 worldwide. I don't see a problem with that. They are just being asses. And I told her, I said, the government was shut down for 43 days. I said, that's going to delay us by at least 2 months. Hi, Reed.
Yeah.
And company, I guess, means all you guys. And by the way, if you don't know, Mike knows who Martin is, but Pat, that is Martin with the orange thing here next to me. He's our producer. And Sadly, he's from the third world nation and living in another third world nation.
Yeah.
He evaded communism from Venezuela and fled to Mexico.
Just so they could become communists too. Fuck me and my luck.
Yeah.
So I guess we can get down to this if you guys are ready. I know that I looked at them, and actually, these are really good questions that Chris sent me. And I'm assuming that means you have pretty regular answers to these, which will make it better. So let's start with you, Mike. Early career influences. You've been a prolific writer for decades. I'm not trying to say you're old, Mike, but that really makes it sound like you're old. Covering diverse genres and characters. And I've read all your comics, so I know what he's talking about. Can you share how you got started in comics?
Uncle Scrooge.
Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah. Carl Barks is the greatest comic book creator of all time. There's not a wasted word or picture in anything he did. When he wrote Donald Duck was a complex character. He was an everyman. Sometimes he was heroic. Sometimes he was a coward. He was often brash. But when the chips were down, you could count on him. He's not the idiot that they portray in the animated cartoons. He's a fully rounded character. He's kind of an everyman. He's a bit of a loser, but he keeps on coming back. And Uncle Scrooge, of course, is a self-made billionaire who preached the value of capitalism. He always said, I made my money honest. I worked hard for it. He did it in the Yukon. And in fact, there's a story Barks wrote and drew called Back to the Yukon, where he hooks up with an old girlfriend, which is problematic. And her name is Goldie. And they're no longer together, but she bears some animus toward him. And he's up there researching a new vein of money, a vein of gold. And he works it so that he seems to be trying to take it away from her, but in the end you realize he worked everything so that she would get the vein of gold.
That's fantastic. Now, your first gig was working on the comic book, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Dennis Kitchen was my first publisher. I was in college.
Oh, Kitchen Sink Press. I know him.
Knock at the door. I go, there's this really tall geek. He says, "Hi, my name is Dennis. I heard you wanted to do comics," or something like that. Where's that quacking noise coming from? Do you hear that?
Oh, it's Pat.
My joint? Yeah, maybe.
You're drawing it. Well, I thought you were quacking, Pat.
No, I said my joint.
Oh, your joint's my ass.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so Dennis says, "You want to write for us?" I said, "Sure." And I started doing some articles for his Kitchen Sink Press. But what the most satisfying thing for me was working with the great Rand Holmes on a number of stories for his horror title and a couple of others. I don't remember the horror title, but Rand Holmes was to Wally Wood what Paul Galassi was to Steranko when Galassi was just starting out. In other words, he took that style and he developed it to the max. Now, I don't think that anyone has equaled Steranko since then. Paul did for a little bit, but Steranko went on and was a multifaceted guy. He still is. I mean, he's a painter too. But when I saw his first Nick Fury Agent of the Shield pages, that was a revelatory moment for me. I didn't realize that comics could be so visually stunning. And the same goes for Neil Adams too. And those two guys kind of got me interested in comics.
Steranko is like one of my favorites, and what he did with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. blew me away.
Yeah, everybody who's ever seen those original pages.
Man. So with that, with you saying that, the next question is really, what were your biggest influences when you began developing your own writing style? And when did you feel you really developed it?
Well, I felt that I could write comics from as soon as I graduated from the university, but I really didn't get a chance uh, until I moved back to Madison from Boston. I worked as a journalist in Boston, uh, and I hooked up with Steve Rude, which was, greatest luck of my life. We were in the right place at the right time, but that I saw the dude's art. And so we did a story and we showed it to some boys that were interested in publishing comics. It was Capital City Distribution, the second largest distributor in the world right then. What is that quacking noise? Am I the only one that hears that?
No, I hear it
Oh,
too.
yeah.
It's something over on Pat's side. It's coming through his mic. It could
Oh,
be like the
Pat,
dumbest
is
thing in the
that your
world.
dog? Is that your 5-pound dog?
No, she's locked up with the wife.
I don't know what. Oh, all right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't hear it at all
good.
on this side. So,
So
and
we showed that to the boys, and they said, "Well, we want a costume superhero." And so I brainstormed Nexus, and I was really reacting to the superhero comics that I knew, saying, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. That's a cliche. That's a cliche. How could I be original in this field? What will make my character compelling?" And the first thing I thought, well, what if somebody dies every time he shows up? And that's not a great revelation. That's why so many dramas are based on life and death, like all the police dramas and medical and lawyer dramas. They deal with life and death, and that's the stuff of drama. But I didn't want to make him a heartless killer or a soulless vigilante. So I made him a reluctant executioner of mass murderers. And that was the first thought that came to mind. And from there, everything grew from there. For 25 years, I wrote comics by drawing each page out by hand. And for anybody who wants to do comics, I recommend this, whether you can draw or not, because it will teach you so much. It'll teach you how much weight a page can bear. It'll teach you how much graphics, how many words. And this is a lesson that a lot of professionals have never learned. I'm still looking at professionals who make a good living. They've been at it for 20 or 30 years, and they still spew words all over the page like a machine gun, words which are telling you the character's innermost thoughts, words which are telling you what you're looking at. And one of the secrets to comics is the visual medium. And it's just true of every story form, is you show, don't tell. If you show, you don't tell, it's so much more powerful than saying John is a good person. That's what a certain class of people with whom we're all familiar does. They go around saying, I am a good person. I support these causes. Well, if you support that cause, support it. Give them the money, but don't carry a sign around saying I just gave to the Red Cross. But that has nothing to do with Nexus. I learned that showing, not telling from the get-go. And I wrote the first panel. The first panel was about a sadistic dictator enjoying a celebratory dinner. And then the second panel was the first element of disturbance, where somebody rushes into the hall and says, my leader, there's some guy here, And I wrote like that, proceeding from panel to panel. That's how I thought of the story. Now, I always had the classic dramatic structure in the back of my head. I always did. A story is a dynamic narrative with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And by dynamic, that means the outcome is always in doubt. You don't know what's going to happen. The hero's up, the hero's down, but he's never steady. Because if he's steady, there's no story. So I thought, what happens in the next panel? How does it advance the story? I didn't think, well, I'll just have 6 panels here and I'll leave it to the illustrator to decide what to do. And, Stan Lee used to do that all the time with Jack Kirby. He said, Jack, I need 4 pages of fights. And then he left the fight to Jack. Jack was very inventive, and I enjoyed a lot of his fights scenes very much. But they weren't what I call well choreographed. Because when you choreograph a fight carefully and intricately to show stuff that has not been seen before, that's a compelling drama in and of itself. And anybody who watches martial arts movies knows what I'm talking about. But getting back to Nexus, I've got through 12 pages, which I thought it was a really good introduction, and I drew them all out by hand, and I gave them to the dude, and he penciled, inked, and lettered them. And then they showed them to the boys at Capital City, and they went through them, and they said, "Hell yeah! Now give us 20 more pages," and we were off and running.
So, when you are in that process of writing, which is, because you gave me a nice little thing to read to help me with my own writing, and I know this is something you actually do a lot. You in some of your own videos, you go about giving instructions how to be a better writer. While you were working, who was your favorite co-writer that you worked with there at DC?
Well, I don't really work with co-writers.
I don't mean your co-writer, but other writers there in the bullpen.
Well, I was in Wisconsin, and they would fly me in from time to time, and I get to know and to see some people, and I met some guys that are still friends of mine. Larry Hama. I haven't talked to Chris Claremont in years, but I respected him a great deal. Chuck Dixon, and Chuck and I are still tight today. We talk all the time.
Yeah, that's how I met you, was through Chuck. I worked. He was my first comic gig, was to work with him.
Well, you're a lucky man.
Yeah,
and there are a number of writers that I admire. Some I've never met. I have met Alan Moore and Frank Miller. Those are two writers that I admire, and by that I mean they wrote a compelling story, a story that was so compelling you couldn't put it down. That's very rare in comics, and it's very rare in any medium. And I keep explaining this, but there was a great science fiction writer named Theodore Sturgeon, and Sturgeon created Sturgeon's Law. 90% of everything is crap. 90% of TV is crap. 90% of movies, 90% of novels, 90% of books. And he's right. I mean, I spend an hour going through all my streaming services at night looking for something to watch. And I'll pick, all right, that looks interesting, and I'll start it. And within 10 or 20 minutes, I think these people don't know what they're doing. It's not entertaining. They don't know what they're doing. They're either trying to deliver a message or they're just fooling around because they got a lot of money. So that's Sturgeon's Law. And I'm going to say that when I find a well-written comic, I'm excited. I'm thrilled about it.
That's something I've always liked about both you and Chuck Dixon. You guys are very similar in how you write your characters and your stories.
Yes.
Especially like Punisher, stuff like that. And you've worked on everything. You've got Nexus, which you created. You've worked on Punisher. As far as I'm concerned, you created the best version of the Punisher that we've enjoyed up until the assholes tried to revamp him again as some sort of lefty. And but man, oh man, every time you see the Punisher in film, including Barenthal, that's your Punisher.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. I know that Barenthal has mentioned a couple of my titles and wants to incorporate them if he gets a chance to do more Punisher.
Well, the problem is he doesn't get much of a say in it, even though he's a bigger star now. And it bugs me because he wanted to go more towards going against organized crime, where they keep wanting to push him against like law enforcement that are corrupt. They keep doing that, and it's very annoying. He was focused solely on organized crime, and I'm not going to get into why they do that. I know why they do it, but you've worked on these things, and you even worked on Star Wars, which is
that was a straight adaptation.
Okay, let's get into that. What was that like, having to adapt?
Was smooth, just smooth.
It was one of the few novels that I liked, that series. And
Well, I had the luck of adapting Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire series, which is
yeah,
probably the best Star Wars novels ever written. But the other thing I like is I had the books in my hand. When I have the book in my hand, it's so much easier to adapt than when somebody sends me a manuscript via email and I have to work on the screen. And one of the reasons is I can mark that book up. I can use red ink for things I want to remember, and I can use green ink for things I want to quote. And one thing's about those Star Wars novels that I take pride in is that there's not a word in there that Timothy Zahn did not write. All I did was adapt it and lay it out and tell the artist what to draw, and then condense the dialogue and use his captions very sparingly. And that's what I've done with every novel I've been called on to adapt, which includes a lot of Michael Moorcock and some other stuff. And right now, I'm adapting an autobiography by Tony Moon, the original Rooftop Korean, and it's going to be called Rooftop Korean.
huh. Do you know who the artist is going to be on that?
I do. I have not met her, but we've been corresponding. She's in Korea. She's a great manhwa artist. Hang on, I'll tell you her name.
That'll be really cool. By the way, for those of you in the chat, if you look at the top of the chat, there is a link up there for the Fund My Comics page for Bronze Star 2. And so you can be a part of this project, and which means you're going to be eligible for early stuff dealing with the book, sneak peeks into things. And are you guys going to do any special shows through the Fund Me page?
Oh, I don't know about that. That's up to Chris. We're just the guys.
He's talking about Chris Braley from Bleeding Fool Comics, who's also a friend of mine and kind of a jerk, I think. What do you think? I think he's kind of a jerk. Let's see if I can get you to say it.
The artist for Rooftop Korean is Joanne Kim. Her Korean name is Kim Ju-yeon.
Kim Ju-yeon.
Yeah.
Man, that's make a note of that, Martin, so we can look that up later.
You want to take a look at her art?
Yeah, I'd like to. Can you look up some of her work, buddy?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Oh, I was talking to Martin.
Oh, no, I can put it right on the screen.
Oh, you can do it? All right, yeah. Let's go for it. There's so many things shared right now that I don't know if you'll be able to share it.
Oh, no, you will.
He will? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do it because you and I are somehow connected in our accounts. So you've taken
sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, it sounds like something I really wouldn't like to have happen in my personal life. Thank you very much. Freaking Venezuelans and your third country bullshit.
Okay, there's some of her art.
Oh, there we go, Martin. Bring that up. Ooh, yeah, look at that.
Oh, X23.
Oh, come on. She's really good. I love her inks.
Yeah, we're excited. Both Tony and I.
Wow. That's gorgeous, dude. That is gorgeous. So I've wrapped up your early career influences. Now I'm going to head over to Pat. And
all right.
Now, from what I understand, Pat was an artist back when they were still carving on walls. Is that correct, Pat?
Well, from a senior point of view, the plates were, I believe, lead back then. Okay.
Lead. I wouldn't be surprised there was lead in that stuff.
Yeah. No, I have. Let me see.
Did they have lead in them?
They very likely could have. This was the late 70s, and the company that was doing it had been established for years. So who knows when they changed their plates and got,
And once stuff gets listed as being dangerous or harmful, you hope that information trickles down to your job. That you shouldn't be handling that stuff. Let's see. Now you just like Mike, I'm sorry, Mikolos.
Yeah.
You two have been a prolific with your work over the decades, covering all kinds of diverse subjects. And what was your first professional gig?
Uh, Interpreter. Okay. I mean, in what was my professional gig?
Yeah,
Or
your
when did
first
it?
professional gig. I
Oh,
mean, first,
oh,
what
okay.
inspired you to want to even be an artist?
Oh my God. Issue number one of the X-Men, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby,
Oh yeah.
back in '63. Yeah, yeah. That inspired me because that was the first panel comic book art that I copied. I remember showing it to my mom. Yeah, I was quite proud of it, and started God, years of copying uh, Kirby, and then Ditko's Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. I got addicted to that, you know. So, but then older, when I got out of high school, by that time I was exposed to Frazetta and Creepy Magazine, which exposed me to all the old timers at that time, who worked for EC Comics, and became aware of really good art.
By the way, I am a big fan of EC Comics. Just loved horror as a
Oh
kid,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I got to be friends with Bernie. And man, I told him, I said, nobody drew horror like you, nobody. And did you ever get to work with him, meet him?
Oh, I did get to meet him. I never got to work with him. I was working at Continuity back in 73. No, wait, 73, 74. Okay, Continuity and Associates at Neil Studio. And I had met Bernie prior to that one. I was hired at DC in the junior bullpen. And I was aware of Bernie's work back when I saw his fan illustrations in the Warren magazine. Yeah. Uh, so he's a sweet guy, an incredible
Oh, he's
artist.
very nice. I miss
Yes,
him.
yeah, and there were a bunch of really nice, um, gentle artists. Mike Kaluta included now, because I've known Mike since that time, and then I got hooked up with this guy here. So I
Miklos
joined. Yeah,
Bruchevsky.
yeah, yeah,
Da.
Ah.
yeah.
Well, what I read is that you say that you broke into comics in a drawing contest back in
Mhm,
'70.
mhm.
What was
Yeah.
that about?
Uh, that was a kid seeing a chance. I had been drawing like my butt off, all right, and but I had no instruction, no training. Uh, so it was just all ballpoint pen mostly. Okay, and worked up a portfolio and went to a contest that had been promoted in DC's line of books they had shipped that month. Uh, I read it in Our Army at War, announcing their junior bullpen contest, being held at Commodore Hotel, the Phil Sealing July 4th show. And I jumped at the chance. I figured, what have I got to lose other than airfare and hotel, expenses split between five guys. So,
Now, who hired you there?
oh, it was Saul Harrison and Carmine Infantino.
Oh, Carmine. Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Going back on that, I meant to ask you that same question, Mike. Who hired you first?
You mean at the Big Two?
No, for your first major gig.
Well, that was Carl Potts.
Okay. And who was that for? I don't know that name.
Marvel. He was the editor on Punisher.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking cool, dude.
Carl's a very
Becky,
talented storyteller.
man, look, people don't understand how important story is. It's just essential, even for comic books. I have told people this, and I was not being mean. I was trying to make a point where I said that you can have a comic book without a writer, but you won't get a great story. And it's that simple fact. Yeah, without a script, you know this because of the way Stanley uses things. You could draw a whole fucking comic book with just a basic outline. And yes, visually it's captivating, but the story is essential to keep you wanting to read. And so that's where the relationship, the bond between writer and artist is. And the only advice I've ever given writers when you're working with an artist is stop writing things in there about what the character's thinking and feeling.
Oh,
Because the
please.
artist so used to the artist, we don't give two shits about it. We need to know what they're wearing, the time of day, the inclement weather, who's fighting who's talking to who. When they're angry, just say angry. Rage, use simple words so the artist gets a quick understanding of what's going on without having to fucking dig into your brain to do their jobs. Am I not right, Pat?
Well, yeah. I mean,
best writers do that.
The thing that I've felt that I've seen over the years is good writers like Mike, the late Peter Gillis and Doug Munch, and you guys structure your story. You know, you don't cram a lot of ideas on a page without even that plot being, Shakespearean in Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, because you only got 19 pages, right? So you follow the formula. A lot of writers, a lot of artists, okay? And this includes the greats, all right? Some of whom I've had the utmost respect and love for in this life. But they get too caught up on trying to prove their excellent or professional control of dialoguing in between characters. Mike's, he does his research, on what they would say and the minimum amount it takes to say that in a situation. Okay.
Yeah, you got to have room for the artwork. I've gotten after writers for that shit.
Well, the artwork's got to be structured to leave room for the balloons too. And for a longest time,
it's that symbiotic thing, Pat.
Yeah, but it's simple. It's even in panels. If they're divided down into a division of thirds, somewhere in that panel, you're going to leave a third of that panel available. Okay. In your thought and your process, So I like allowing him room for dialogue. Sometimes he needs it to explain what the hell I've done to his story, okay? But my career has been from two different storytelling methods, from writing formats, writing styles. Finished scripts, which Mike definitely is a master at, and also plot form, just plot form without any dialogue, really. And it mentally it bleeds across, in the creative process. I forget where I'm at, so I have to catch myself back in there.
I've actually run into that while doing storyboarding for films, where if I find something super emotional, I have to take a break and then try to remember where the freak I was. That's wild. Mike, I am curious your thoughts on what I said about the way writers need to write for artists.
Well, I've learned to write visually. I no longer draw each page out by hand, but I will draw if the artist needs me to be specific about
something. For a reference. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You're doing it for a reference for them, right?
Yeah. But what I've learned is what story is, what constitutes story. And once you get to that point, you don't have any problems. If you don't really understand story, you'll write something and you keep handing it out to your friends. Is this any good? Will you read this? Is this any good? Well, once you understand story, you don't have those doubts. You know it's good. So, what is story? I wish that I could give you a concise description, but it's many, many things go into a story. I'm just going to mention three that are important. Number one is you have an exciting and likable protagonist that the audience cares about. Sherlock Holmes is the greatest example of that, probably the most widely known fictional character in history.
Which is one of my favorite standalone comics. I'm assuming, hoping that you'll do more, but for right now, I like your Sherlock Holmes thing.
We're
And
very
Richard,
proud of it. Yeah,
Richard's
people
not
loved it.
just one of my best friends. I love the work you two did together.
It sold out. Then unfortunately, it was my decision to do that. And what I learned is that comic book fans aren't interested in Sherlock Holmes. They're interested in superheroes, horror, science fiction, and good girl art. So
that makes me sad.
I'm not in this business for my health. I do it to make a living. I would love to do another Sherlock Holmes story. I have a great idea for it. But we'd have to do at least twice what we did on the previous one to make it worth our while. I mean, what we got on that was like I got paid less than $20 a page for writing it, and Richard probably got paid less than $30 a page for drawing it, and we're just not going to do it again. But I would like to. We're going to do it in Europe, and it may have a bigger impact over there.
Yeah.
All right. So the number one is your likable character that people care about. Well, how do you make him likable? I'm not going to go into that because I could talk about that all day. So let's move on to number two. A compelling situation. Jurassic Park. It's the perfect example. I explain the whole thing in 2 words. Jurassic Park. Who does not want to see real dinosaurs in real life, especially when they get out of control and start eating people? And number three is a seductive narrative voice. Now, this is harder to do in comics than it is in straight prose, but it can be done. And that means that your style of storytelling is so exciting and your choice of words is so perfect that people can't stop reading because they love the process.
Yeah, I agree wholly with you on that one. Do you know Matt Hawkins, Mike?
Gee, that sounds familiar. I don't know if we've met. We might be Facebook friends.
He's Top Cow Productions. And he and I did a panel together at a major Comic-Con in Oklahoma. And it was funny as hell because he looked like a deer in headlights when I started criticizing writers not understanding how to work with an artist with the thing I was talking about earlier, where they're just giving you, and he's like, wait, what are you talking? He was so confused. And then I said, I'm an artist. I work for IDW. And he goes, oh, you're talking from, I'm like going, yeah, because I'm not going to be a writer and say that. Like, I'm trying to, explain to these guys that want to be writers how to write to their artists or for their artists, because that artist has to capture visually what you want shown, and you don't want to overdo it. And I've always come down on that because I had one creator. He was paying me to do this 130-page graphic novel and adapted from his book. And he sent me the package with the script in it. And I'm like, that's awful heavy. And I opened it and I went to the last page and it was 220 pages. And I sealed the envelope back and sent it back to him. And I said, get that down to 130 pages and I will do this book for you. And he goes, I don't know how. So I reached out to an editor friend of mine who happens to know how to write comic scripts. I got him paid to edit the book for me to do the book from. And it was funny. I've gotten into these little arguments. I have one writer who won't even talk to me anymore. And because I just got so fucking annoyed with them. I said, "Do you even know how to write a battle?" It's the book 1066, the Battle of Hastings graphic novel I did. It was another big one. Took me 2 years to draw.
Do you have any copies of that?
Yes, I do. You want me to send you a PDF?
No. Why don't you send me the book?
Oh, I don't have any printed copies now.
Wow.
We don't talk. Once all the copies were sold, all I have with me now is the PDF because I don't want to talk to him again.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I've made a point in my life when I hit my 50s, I don't fucking give a shit if people don't like me. I really don't. What matters is if I don't like them or do like them. And if I don't like them, I cut off contact with them because I don't want to waste whatever days I got left on this planet to some asshole. But I will send you the PDF if you want me to send it to you because that was a fun book to do. But I will never draw a horse again because of it.
Gary, I will find a physical copy. I'm sure it's for sale somewhere.
Yeah, it's Tapestry Comics.
Well, let me redirect you back to a question about something.
Well, I did. I had a question too, but
okay.
for you. But
I had it was from something you said earlier because you had done storyboarding. Okay. Yeah. All right. When did you apply that to comics before you started doing storyboarding, or did you apply it after?
The reason I got hired to do storyboards was because when and Mike knows, he's seen my work. It's very cinematic.
Oh, I know.
And all you got to do is add the arrows and to show the direction the character's moving or turning.
Yeah. All right. Because after I had done that for both commercial advertising and for animation, when I got back to doing comics again and sequential storytelling, I started really applying those rules. Okay. Using the never crossing the line of action, even on a page, if you can avoid it. And so I, like with Bronze Star, I use extremely long shots, wide angle views. I do a lot of framing. It's something that I just started applying. And, now I look at not all the comics, some of the comics, most of them, they don't have any rules to their page design, their panel layouts. It doesn't have a visual flow. There's some really great artists out there that do have that. Thank God they are still out there. But the majority of it, Mike, it's Kool-Aid. Talk about story from my point of view. The atmosphere is more important than what's going on. I mean, the action and the interaction with the characters is the focal point, but it's like painting a full scene instead of just sketching it out for the reader to see with some not so great coloring,
So, big question for you, Pat.
Yeah.
Is who, because I asked this of Mike, and now I want to know the same thing with you. Who had the greatest impression on you that helped direct you as an artist? Either it made you want to be an artist or the process of that relation, the symbiotic relationship. Who best showed that to you when you got started?
That would be Neil Adams. Without a doubt.
Yes. Oh, I love Neil Adams, dude. Oh, man. One of my favorite comic artists of all time, dude.
Yeah. When Neil, after I'd worked at DC and was unceremoniously unemployed, Neil hired me at Continuity, and he told me I was going to have to forget everything that I'd learned, everything that I taught myself. That was going to be the hardest thing for me to learn, which was to forget what I had learned and start over. So he gave me some intense instruction and oversight, and everything.
Would you say he was a good manager?
Oh, well, in what way? He ran a good studio, but he ran a hard studio. We worked all hours.
So long shifts. And by the way, for those of you who don't know what a bullpen is, normally you think of it for baseball, but in early comics, all the way up into the 90s, these were our in-house artists or in-house writers were part of the comic publishers team, which is why they chose to call it the bullpen. And I always thought that was kind of cool because I'm a big baseball fan. So played a lot of baseball. I played semi-pro up into my 20s. And man, oh man, I got denied by Marvel with a form letter, but Denny O'Neil hand wrote my letter telling me that the only reason they couldn't hire me is because I couldn't move to New York. I had a kid, and I can't risk being homeless up there. So they wouldn't hire me. They said, you got to be somebody to not be in the studio, you know, and I know there were some. I think Alan Moore was not in the bullpen for long because, as I recall, he was able to write from wherever the fuck he was at. And he's a person, by the way, Mike, that I'm not too fond of him because I knew a couple of artists that worked with him, and they said, "Oh, he's an asshole. He will take a single fucking page of comic and turn it into 4 pages of script."
He will lay it out for you though visually. It'll show
yes,
you
it's
how
all there. Nothing for you to do.
Yeah.
You were going to say something, Mike?
Well, I just enjoy his writing. I did meet him once. He was very cordial. He came out to greet me when I went to England for con, and I enjoyed some of his work very much, and some of his work not so much. I think he's one of those guys that lost the plot the more he wrote, and I hate to say it, but that applies to James Ellroy too, one of my favorite pulp writers. And for people who don't know, James Ellroy wrote L.A. Confidential, which was made into a great movie.
He's a hero of mine, by the way.
One of the best noir
I
movies.
admire him.
Have you read anything he's written in the last 10 years?
No, the last thing I read of his was crap. I think it was crap. No, the last thing I read of his wasn't written in order of the way I read them. But I read The Black Dahlia.
Well, that's not bad, although his solution is nuts.
Well, sure it is. I think it's pretty obvious who it was. But to me, I just still like the way he has a cop's brain. He's also very dark.
And he's got a book called Destination Morgue, which is a collection of his short stories and essays, which is brilliant. If you want to experience James Ellroy, I recommend Destination Morgue.
I liked L.A. Noir, by the way, or L.A.
Confidential. The book was great. The movie was great.
The movie was great, but that book, it's one of the few times I go, absolutely better than the movie. And if you ask him, he says the same.
Well, of course.
He waited till the director was dead, and then he finally said something critical. And I thought that was nice of him to wait, see which one outlived the other. Pat, when it comes to like Neil Adams, what was it that he did that kind of blew you away?
The quality of his work and how quickly he could turn it out.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Oh,
you did that quickly?
Well, his Tarzan covers, okay? He would do one a night, from start to finish, okay? That speed was incredibly fast for me. I mean, to go from a 8 by half 11 sheet of paper, folding the quarters and doing his thumbnail pencil very tight, and then blowing it up on the autograph machine, and he'd pencil it off and render it in and add gray tones, and then he would start to color with the Dr. Martin dyes. And he would work on all night until it was done. That was his routine. In fact, Larry Hama and Ralph Reese and I don't remember who else may have been involved. It was probably just the three of us because we pulled all-nighters a lot. We came in and found Neil asleep at his board at the studio, and he had just finished one of the Tarzan covers, and he was leaning on it, like his head down like this, and his hand was at the side of the table. And I think Larry or Ralph, one of them decided it was time to play a joke on Neil. You know, so they took India ink and poured it on some acetate, tipped it so it would run down long streaks on one side, and then trimmed it out with X-Acto blades. You know, so it was a nice splash of dried ink, and put it on the side of his board. You know, dried it out completely, and laid it down on it. Took an old ink bottle that was dry long, long ago, and tipped it on the side like Neil had spilt it over when he fell asleep. Now, then we came in and woke him up. It's like, Neil, you know, and he freaked out. He jumped back in his seat, picked the board up, you know, with a look of utter shock and horror on his face. And then the ink, the page, the acetate, started to fly down onto his waist. And so he thought he was getting wet, threw it up. So we had a real good laugh about it. Neil, you know, it wasn't often that we could play a joke on him like that, but it was a good one. You know?
He was my first favorite Batman artist, and I love the way he drew Batman neck straight up at the really sharp bat point ears, whatever they're supposed to be. Fucking love that shit.
Yeah, my first Batman artist that I loved was Gil Kane. Okay, on I think it was Murphy Anderson probably was the inker at the time. You know, but I fell in love with Gil's work long before I knew of Neil's work. You know.
So as you move forward, most people know you from like Micronauts, Batman, Legion. What was your, you know, favorite one that you felt more connected to?
It definitely Captain Marvel when I was hired and hooked up with Doug Munch on that series, and got involved with the character. I was familiar with the character prior. You know, I knew of all of Jim's work and Al Milgram's work and both Gil Kane's and Gene Colan's work. So I was really enjoyed the story arc that Doug and I did with that. And then after that, it would probably be, well, a brief stint doing the Weird World characters with Doug again. And then from that point on to the Micronauts. And I really, really enjoyed doing that series. I loved it because I was a huge fan of Mike Golden's work. And I'd worked with Bill Mantlo on stories for the Black and White magazine. So I liked Bill as both a person and a writer. I knew what to expect from him, how he worked. You know, so when I got on the series with issue 19, I was charged up. I was excited, you know, inspired. And that inspiration took me through probably, I'd say, the first, well, up until I left. Let me put it that way. You know? So after that, you know, I was over at DC and started a short stint on Legion of Superheroes, moved on to Fury of Firestorm. Really enjoyed working with Jerry Conway as a writer. And yeah, he was an excellent writer, wonderful guy. And from there, it was like Swamp Thing. And let me see. Oh, Green Lantern.
Yeah, I remember actually some of the work you did with Swamp Thing. Yeah. And it was really one of my favorite characters, you know, in comic history. I just fucking love Swamp Thing. And I need to comment on your artistic style. because you don't have your typical comic book style to me. You have more of a sketch artist style of drawing, which I really like. Because I tell people I'm not a comic book artist, I'm an illustrator. And you're,
Mhm.
to me, are an illustrator. And I
Mhm.
like the way, like the background right now with you guys. I freaking love the framing of that shot. And
Oh
that
yeah.
looks like it was hand drawn. And I like
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
The way you do your shading.
Yeah, I don't do any digital illustrating at all. I mean, I'm very versed with Photoshop as a coloring program, but that was my last experience with it. I got to a point where after teaching and education, the computer's fine because I had free access to them, and I had free access to service through the school. But after they retired me, God, I think it was 2 years in, my computers burned out, and I was having to supply them myself, you know, getting them cleaned up myself. And it got to a point where the phones caught up with their technology to a degree, so we just got back to using phone and laptops and then phones, and that's where I'm at right now. I haven't touched
Yeah.
a computer in, good Lord, probably 10 years.
And that's about the time that I started inking digitally. I pencil, and then I ink. And a lot of times my pencils are so rough. Like people go, why don't you sell your drawings? I'm like, they wouldn't even know what some of it is because I'm
Yeah.
just doing basic outlines and stuff. And then when I go into ink, I knew what I was setting this up to look like. So I just ink,
Yeah.
finish
Well,
the art with inks digitally.
you've already
I
got,
got Graham Nolan to do it. Graham
yeah.
started digitally inking because what I showed him I could do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've seen what it can do and everything, but, how do you monetize,
You can't. You lose money doing it.
exactly. And that's what I had to tell my students. That's what I had to tell my department heads when they wanted me to teach it to them. So I said, look, I said, I've got the associate level students here, and they're just learning up to draw. And you want to give them this toy. They're nowhere near ready for it. So I refuse to teach it. Uh,
Good on you
I,
for that. Because
hmm?
I think you should be good at real art before you
Yeah,
start using
yeah,
digital because
yeah,
you have to fundamentally know how that pencil feels in your hand drawing, how that
yeah,
pen, if you're using a quill pen. I use a rapidograph for most of my inks. And
yeah.
a rapidograph and brushes because I didn't care for that feathered thing that you do in
Well,
comics. Never really cared
and
for it.
also, conversion from CMYK to RGB, and the
Or the
cording,
other way.
yeah, or the other way with the printing, because often the red shifts, when you see a print.
It
And
becomes very flat looking, reds
yeah,
in
yeah,
particular, and
yeah,
blues.
yeah, yeah. So, it, nothing beats having that original to look at. And also my students, they had to understand. I said, you have to know that I would say a good 30% of your income throughout your lifetime will be from selling artwork. If you become any good at it or tap into a market where you are able to commercialize your work. I said, because, you know, if I get a virus, I'm still drawing. you know,
Mhm.
with computer, if your files get a virus, you lost them, and you have to have backup and all.
Oh yeah.
And it's
My
it,
studio burned down and I was terrified that all my art got lost. But I had a friend who saved my hard drive on my computer.
oh, that's
And so
wonderful.
I've got close to about 15 books in there, one third of which 5 have never been published. They're waiting to be published.
Yeah,
And oh, I'm telling you, man, that is scary shit. And
yeah. We were flooded out last year when the two hurricanes came through here in Tampa, and we do not live in a flood zone at all. And when we left to go stay with my son further south in Florida, took everything with me that I thought, okay. I left with a ton of original art, and just in case. I figured, if the roof blows off, everything's going to be gone. But I really had no idea what I had that I did not bring, that I would have had to have packed up a U-Haul and driven it to my son's to protect everything that we had. So I understand what you mean. I mean, Mike, I left with all the Bronze Star, tucked away in the trunk of the car. Okay.
You have more copies than me.
Oh no, I'm talking about the originals, Mike.
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about the originals, okay? And
And,
all my thumb
we should
drives.
we should mention that legacy edition that you're doing. There are only 3 copies. Where these the oversized black and white books,
Yeah.
and Pat is doing an original drawing inside the cover and on the first facing page. Let me show you that. Let me just bring that up for a minute.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to go through it.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to show the video.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
I think this is to one of you guys. Happy holidays from Berman.
Berman, yes.
Vermin. Who's Vermin?
No, it's Berrman. B.
Oh, yes, of course.
As in boobs. That's a guaranteed word that a man won't not understand for a B word.
All right. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of small, but that's.
Wait.
Do you see that, guys? I can't put it on screen.
There you go.
Those are $750 a piece. That really doesn't do it justice because the book is huge. The book is, and that's Pat's
Coffee
original
table
work.
size.
Yeah, you frame that and you put that on the wall, and you get a smaller copy to read.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's going to be amazing. And now let's get into it. Let's start talking a little bit about the book, because this is the second book you're working on now. But let's go back to that first one. What inspired you to create the Supernatural Western Bronze Star? First of all,
I asked Pat what he wanted to draw.
Yeah,
I
well,
wanted to do a Western, a supernatural Western.
Yeah, I told him I was tired of doing spandex heroes. Did not want to do another spandex.
Yeah,
hero.
I hate to. I won't draw those. I'm not interested. I get it.
Can we
exactly what I
play the video?
Yeah.
Yeah, the video, Martin.
Well, I can put it up, but you
Is
probably
it this one?
Do you have that long one?
That's
Mark?
it. That's it.
Okay.
So hit full screen on the video.
Wait.
Yeah.
What
happened?
I
Where'd it
think
go?
I may have another. Let me.
Lawless, unforgiving old
This one?
West. One man tried to
Is this one?
That's it.
bury his past, only to discover that some nightmares never stay buried. Newly appointed Sheriff Harley Brogdon thought he'd left trouble behind, until ancient terrors from Native American legend clawed their way out of the cold earth. Bronze Star 2 is the thrilling continuation of the critically acclaimed Weird Western series by Eisner award-winning writer Mike Barron and legendary artist Pat Broderick, co-creator of Creature Commandos. Return to Cobb's Gap, where every bullet fired is a deadly gamble, and every shadow may conceal an unimaginable horror. The legend rides again, deeper into darkness, into a series of hellish nightmares that will haunt you long after the final page. 2 chilling journeys into the heart of the Weird West await you in Bronze Star 2. Pre-order the pulse-pounding sequel now at bronzestarcomic.com.
I should point out that we have a Black Friday special going on right now.
Yes, 20% off.
Yeah, 20% off. You can find the book at bronzestarcomic.com.
That's the link that's at the top of the chat, guys. Not to mention, if you want to, here you go. right next to Mike's head, there
you
is
are.
a code for you to use with your mobile device that you can scan that. It'll take you straight to the page.
Over that corner. Yeah. That
And
one,
we
Mike.
have it on the scroll.
What's the matter with
Yeah,
you,
for
Mike?
us, it's on the left side.
Hmm.
And that's
For
wild.
me.
So it's,
With me.
wow. They should actually have it where it's supposed to be for both of us. That's weird that they're doing that.
Yeah.
Well, the camera shows everything in reverse like a mirror.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm pointing that way.
Well,
That's
yeah, on
wild.
my screen, it's right above the live red box with the timer.
There you go. So I do have to do this, our little commercial advertisement. This episode is brought to you by Backdoor Beaver with real beaver
Fuck out of here.
anal gland butter. Try saying that 20 times fast. It's so tasty. It tastes like real beaver. I saw that fucking thing. It was being sold for popcorn containers from the Naked Gun movie with Liam Neeson. And I'm like, I want one. They were sold out. So I just decided to start putting it up as an ad for our show. It's not real. I agree. And where did you find this guy that sounds like Sam
Elliott.
Elliott?
Yeah,
God damn, he sounds like Sam Elliott.
I know. It's one of Chris's.
he's good. He is good.
He also reminds me of the old Disney announcer for their Wild West stories about bear and shit. He had that deep resonating voice, like that, kind of gravelly. And his son ended up being the voiceover narrator for Me, Myself, and Irene. And he sounds just like his dad. It's fucking wild. Hey, Snort, I want to thank you. We're glad you like our beaver. All right, moving ahead with this. We have a video here, Martin. Is that what this is?
About what? Yes, I have the trailer from the previous book.
Yeah, let's get that up there so people can see some of the
Hey,
art on that.
Buckaroos. Talking about Bronze Star.
There you
Now,
go.
some of you may have seen Bronze Star #1. It's a supernatural Western.
Is set post-Civil War, Alberta, Canada. A sheriff at Cobb's Gap, at that time probably the furthest north mining town you might find in Alberta.
I'd always wanted to work with Pat Broderick. And I said, Pat, I'd love to work with you. And he said, Mike, I'd love to work with you. And I said, Pat, what do you want to draw? And he said, I want to draw a supernatural Western. And so Bronze Star was born.
I've been drawing comics for 49 years. And he asked me, what would I like to do? And I just finished doing a Two-Gun Kid faux cover, just to draw something that wasn't spandex superheroes. And I loved it. So I told him I'd love to do a Western, but got to add a supernatural element to it in today's market. He said, fine, I'll have a script for you on Monday. This is a Friday. Monday, that guy had a script for me. It's 56 pages. It's just that I had this idea for a while, wanted to do a Western. When you said that, it was already in my mind. So it was just a matter of typing it out.
It is the greatest work of his career. Anybody who has seen that book has been blown away.
It's not my personality to say this way, but it's the best work I've done in my life.
What is Bronze Star about? A little town at the foot of the Rockies is very peaceful, very quiet. And the reason it's so quiet is because the sheriff has a unique problem. Once a month, he has to disappear for 3 days so he doesn't eat the townsfolk.
No.
That's right, he's a werewolf. And that's why it's called Bronze Star. Because he had to have a bronze star made to wear on his chest because he can't touch silver.
It became Bronze Star 1. And it was a joy to do for every damn page.
Bronze Star 2 continues that tradition.
I've just finished our second one. Here's my artist Bible. I got to do some fun stuff. The monster in this one is the Wendigo. And the monster at the end of the book is the Ogo Pogo surfing.
Bronze Star 2 has 2 separate stories. Both involve supernatural creatures of the Northwest. I researched these stories very carefully to make them accurate, true to the legends.
Worked on it for a year, poured my heart and soul into it, and I know that you guys are going to love it when you see it.
We're launching this campaign on Halloween, appropriately. Reserve your copy today. Just go to bronzestarcomic.com.
So guys, get over there, buy a copy. Also, support the current production for Bronze Star 2. So this is going to be great, guys. I fucking love this. What do you guys think of Chris Braley? I know Miklos had his opinion. What's your opinion of Chris Braley? He's a friend of mine, so it's okay to shit on him a little bit.
No, you're gonna. No, it's not. I know Chris. No.
You know too. Oh man, I know Chris too, but I like to mess with him.
Oh, well, he's a sweet guy. He is really a nice guy.
Look,
he is very good at what he does.
This is what he wants to do.
To the table. Yes.
Working with guys like you, he wants to get out there and do this stuff, and I like that. I find it inspiring how he does that, and I really also love his magazine because Bleeding Fool is awesome.
Yeah.
And it is an honest, brutally honest take on the film and comic industries and television. So, yeah. Also, for those of you that watch this show, remember, Heath is always judging you. Look at those eyes. Those are judging eyes right there. That's my partner on the show. Though he has to work today, so he's not here.
Guys, I'm sinking.
You're sinking. What are you doing over there, Mike?
I got to quit now. I got some stuff to do.
Well, it was so great for you guys to come on. I appreciate
Pat
it.
can stay.
No, I appreciate both of you, but I'm hoping Pat will stay because we still got another 40 minutes to go.
Okay.
Before we end the show. But Mike, I know you're older than all of us, so you need your old man naps. You have to take your old man naps.
Okay, guys, thanks for having me on. Pat, I'll talk to you.
Of course, Mike.
Tomorrow.
Love you, man. You take care of yourself, okay? Hey, do us all a favor. Give a big hug to your wife from us.
I will.
Thank you, buddy. So, Pat, now it's just us. We can talk bad about Mike.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry, Pat. It's something I joke about all the time. Look, I'm former military, and it's just natural for me to shit on my friends because I think it's funny. That is an Army Marine thing. In Marines don't do it so much, and I mean, Navy doesn't do it so much. And
how long were you in?
Air Force real military. So,
well, how long were you in there for?
8 years.
Okay. Well, then that was long enough for it to ingrain itself into you. You know.
Oh man, they beat it into you from day one, and I fucking excelled at it. I love the military. I didn't want to leave, and but I had a kid, and I was raising her, so I'm like, can't do the military. Oh well.
Yeah,
but,
my best
man, I got to tell you, dude.
My best students in school were all military students. They were my best students.
Yeah. By the way, did you ever? I'm sure you knew Kubert, right?
Yes.
I love that man, and his kids too. Great guys.
Yeah.
I was so upset that I couldn't go to his school, and because so many of my friends graduated from there. I think even Graham Nolan went to Kubert School, and I consider him one of the best superhero style inkists going. His inks, and the only person that comes close to him is Richard Bonk. But it's that classic superhero kind of feathering and shit.
Yeah,
I don't like doing my inks that way. I'm like you, man. Marvel was going to hire me at one point, and I said I don't do superheroes. I don't do them.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can't draw them? I went, no, I can draw them, but I will be fucking miserable doing it.
Yeah.
I want to draw things that I want to draw. And if you've got something there, they had some stuff in mind, And I mean, they were really this was the team. They contacted me after I got an award for Code Word Geronimo with IDW, and of course, it's one that most comic creators don't get. I got the Military Writers Society of America award for best graphic novel, and I was telling the story of SEAL Team 6 taking out Bin Laden. Dale Dye, my boss, wrote it with his wife Julia, so it's fairly accurate militarily. We made a couple of mistakes, and we're doing an creators preferred edition where I've gone back in and redrawn some stuff. Now we know what happened here and here. I'm going to fix that in the artwork and show how it really happened. But again, I love doing military themed stuff because I love the military. I love being in the military. And so I've been working on this graphic novel for over a decade, trying to finish it because I also had to be the writer on it. And I do not write like I can draw. I can draw fast.
Oh,
I cannot write fast.
I draw so slowly now. You know, I'm on Social Security, okay, and my wife also. So that gives us basically a base minimum of what used to be the payment for penciling one book, you know. And
you said it took you a year to draw the first book, right?
yes,
and it was 59 pages. Is that what you said?
No, it expanded up to 64. Okay.
64.
Yeah, his script was 59 or 56 pages, 59 pages. But the thing is, Mike types 3,000 words a day or better. So, you know, he did knock it out. But
that's a fast script.
Yeah, he had. I don't know if he had physical notes because he does take down notes, but he's had this story idea in his mind for a while, and it was when I got it and read it and did the first page, it was like, I'm in love with this because I had done everything from superheroes to sci-fi to fantasy, back to superheroes again. And at that point in my life, it's doing a bread and butter Firestorm, commission. Can do a very good commission for people, but it wasn't inspiring, And when I started drawing this, Mike's story gave me a muse, and I got into it, and I started spending 3 to 4 days on a page. I mean, some of the panels would be a whole page, depending on the detail and what I'm trying to illustrate for it. It's
sort of like this Wendigo that's jumping in the background. I'm assuming that's a splash page.
Yeah, well, I wish
that's Mike a lot going on.
Yeah, Mike, I wish he would give me a splash page. The design of that probably would not be any different, but there are a few areas where I am allowed room to expand the camera, tighter in a more effective frame. The city scenes are Cobb's Gap and inside Dormunder's bar. And all of that is becoming very real in my head now,
Right.
And I love pulling the camera back and getting nice wide angle shots and not drawing background shots that are like outside silhouettes of buildings,
Right.
So directional lighting, time of day of the lighting, moonlight.
Yeah, it's like I mentioned earlier, inclement weather. You when you're doing the book, those are the things you really need to know. What is the time of day in that environment? What kind of environment is? I don't give a shit how the character feels.
Mm-hmm.
You can just tell me he's angry. That's all I need to know. Has an angry expression, raging expression, things like that are important. But when it comes down to he feels regret for the way he treated his son back, You know, it's like, what's that got to do with this story? Why are you writing
Yeah.
this down for me?
Yeah.
But I love what you do here. And you know what? I wish Mike was still here for this because I felt like this was a Western version of The Night Stalker. And I
I
wondered if that inspired you guys because that was a great show.
yeah, I told him back then. I said I kind of think of it as a oh God, how did I put it? X-Files Deadwood. You
Well,
know,
you
Night
see,
Stalker
and Night
Deadwood.
Stalker inspired the X Files.
Yes, yeah,
So it's
absolutely,
absolutely there's a great connection there.
absolutely, yeah. I
I
mean,
love this, man.
this book would be an excellent 1950s, late 50s Twilight Zone episode. You know, it felt that way. Um, eh, I had more input on this one, not in the physical coloring, but in like giving direction to Rob. We built tension in the werewolf sequence at the end with the Northern Lights that I had established earlier. You know, so I told the colorist, I said, now this is our vehicle for all the horrific shots. Okay. It has to be highlighted, bathed in green. And there's a reason for that green. It's not just comic book green, you know, because you see the Northern Lights. That's what I like about doing a story like this up in Canada, you know, and it carries through because the Wendigo gets highlighted in scenes by the Northern Lights, and it truly allows the coloring to slip into monochromatic.
Who did the coloring, by the way?
Oh, Rob Epps. Rob
Okay.
Epps did. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that was
He's
part of one of my jobs at IDW is coloring comics.
yeah.
And I did Army of Two. God, I did a whole bunch of comics for them. A-Team, so many freaking video game comics adapted from video games. This is just beautiful artwork.
Well, thank you. And the thing I like about it too is, you know, we're not dealing with superpowers, so that there's a lot of burnouts or glows and things that are used in coloring here, you know,
Right.
and it it allows me to try to visually build up a scene, you know, and uh,
Oh,
the
look at that
camera
one.
angle, the camera angles, you know.
Now, I'm not a big fan of cross hatching, but I liked what you did here with this.
Do you like John Severn's work?
Oh, yeah, I do. I don't
And
like doing it.
uh,
It's just too much work for me.
yeah, yeah, he was a tremendous inspiration for me in developing my inking. It really was. You know, so I uh, I applied a lot of that also to oh, well, the only thing I inked at Marvel was that first issue of Doom 2099. You know, so it was showing up in my art then, and some of the covers, most of the covers that I was doing for him. Yeah. In fact, I don't know if it was actually helpful, you know, when my style leaned more towards this type of inking uh, to the knowledge of the new editors have at Marvel, you know, looking at styles because they're so young, you know, and they're used to doing the internet search and the websites, you know, looking for the artists that they want to use. Yeah.
This is so old school EC style right here. That way you did that close up. It absolutely reminds me of the close ups you'd see in some of the EC comics. And it's making me wonder if the EC comics, some of those I read, were drawn by you.
Well, I'll tell
I'm
you
just
what,
sitting there 'cause now I'm like, I need to go back and look at every single issue to see if there were your artwork that I read. So, fuck, man, it's really good stuff. I
you
love
can
this
see,
too.
you can see the Wallywood influence, and you know, it it was wonderful,
Oh, I love that shot.
wonderful stuff to study. Yeah.
Well, the cool part is you were talking about atmosphere. You clearly are showing atmosphere by things in the distance being grayer and lighter in tone, which is
Yeah, well, that's
way of doing
and Rob. We both come from education. Rob was a department head, and he's still a teacher now up in Pembroke, up in I think that's North Carolina. But I told him, like do traditional coloring, because I'm going to give you traditional black and white work, illustration work. And
Right.
well, I do much lighter line work as I go towards the back. I try to keep everything everything that's dark. I try to keep into the foreground. I said, so Rob, it's the same thing with the color. It's the rules of value. As you regress into the background, it's got to get lighter and lighter and lighter, unless it's nighttime. So that's the way I wanted it done. I don't know. I mean, I had hopes that when we're done, if we're lucky enough to do a third one, and from the looks of it right now, believe we certainly will be. I think it might be an excellent candidate for the European market at one point or another, to pick up. So I'm trying to think ahead as to what markets this would appeal to, because America is, it's so fixed, on superheroes, and it's, I can still do it, but I won't be smiling, I won't be having a great time.
By the way, here is a John Severin piece, because I don't know if people know who he is, and this is one of his Western covers.
Oh yeah, the Bears. In fact, that's one of my swipes. I mean, I didn't use it in this, but I had a section in the end of the Ogo Pogo sequence, where I needed to have a nice large Kodiak bear. So that's amongst my reference pieces on my phone, my library.
This is one that blew me away. That's yeah, I totally know who he is, and I always loved his artwork too. And would you list him as one of your favorite artists then?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right now at this point, everything has sort of like led to Wally Wood type of lighting, the Severin's lighting, and just pen work, the way he would crosshatch for different levels of gray, and then how he would use them, how he would use solid blacks like on the foreground, then you get a 60% towards the middle, and then light line work in the back. And the same thing with Russ Heath's work, and it was the same thing with Neil's work, but Neil packed a lot of interesting items in his illustrations, to look at, especially his
Neil
cover
was one
work.
of those guys that had a huge impact on me. The guys in the 80s, as I was forming as an artist in the 80s, it was Frank Miller and Mike Mignola who changed the way I inked in the 80s, because I like solid blacks. Instead of shading, I go for solid blacks with slight, not feathers, they're little points that come off of it to show shape. And I just love the way those guys did that kind of shit. But here's one of Severin's book illustrations. It's a two-page piece, and it's incredible, man.
Yeah.
I look at that and I'm like, man, I just couldn't put time into that. Because for me, it is how I make my money. And so I cut as many corners as I possibly can, because time is money. I learned that from my teacher, Drew Struzan, who did all the Star Wars Indiana Jones posters. And he said, man, if you can cut corners,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
time is money. And
Yeah.
I learned how to cut them.
The best way to cut corners in with comics, of course, is having a wonderful reference, known as swipe files, I mean, but it can be anything from paintings to whatever. Just have this. Neil taught me that. He taught me to get all my reference together first before I start drawing whatever is in that scene, whether if it's buildings, because he had a morgue of files and files and files, and he'd just go in and find photos that we would use. But at that time, I didn't understand the left to right camera action, and the characters showing that in their positioning in the frame, over the shoulder shots for conversational pieces, and how to stagger that back and forth with the intermediate shot, and also a nice outside shot, because the conversation is dragging out, and if that's in there, depending on the volume of volume of each character's conversation, how much to leave up top, so even if I'm doing a 3 or 4 tiered across the top of the page, I'll often leave a good 2 inches up there, available space for the word balloons to go. You never know how much, I wanted to ask Mike that, if he had ever worked from plot, because there were 2 different methods, and I don't know. I know that he started basically as full script because he was artistically, visually inclined. He drew out all of his pages, and probably had until he had it down where he just had to type out not much more than just how many panels. So, but he liked doing his dialogue then. I often wondered, had he ever been inspired with dialogue after seeing the art that's done from a plotted page? So,
well, that happens to me on my own book, because I'll draw something that I wrote, and then I'll go back and look at it, and I'm like, oh no, I need to write it this way, because that works better with these drawings, and it really lays the drama. Because I have a Western shootout in a modern military urban combat story of a vigilante in Seattle who takes on organized crime in the city. And it's a fucking shootout in a bathroom with the main character and a guy that he worked with that was with the CIA. And the guy's taken aback, like, what are you doing here? He goes, I heard your boss is looking for me. He goes, no, we're looking for, oh shit. And he realizes, you're the guy we're looking for. Fuck. And you can just feel his whole body drop a little bit, because he knows how dangerous this guy is. He's, are you really going to fucking do this in a bathroom? He goes, well, you're a piece of shit. And I like humor like that. And we have a shootout. I don't want to say any more about it, but here's what I did for that. This is the military award-winning cover I did for the book that I created, and Dale Dye wrote with his wife, and I illustrated the entire book.
Oh, nice. I love that back cover. The
back cover, I felt needed
the whole
to be
design gorgeous. It's really nice.
Thank you. And this is done with that kind of shading that I talk about that Mike Mignola and Frank would do. Solid blacks with a hint of lines coming off the black to give it shape. I fucking love doing this stuff. And I also colored it. And I always liked the way I colored it, because it took place before morning. Hence the reason why that bitch named it Zero Dark 30, even though she shouldn't have named it that. Because that movie was terrible. And our book was far more accurate, which is why we're the first graphic novel comic to win that award. And still, right now, the only one, because nobody tries to do realistic military stuff, and that's what I'm good at, which is why Dale hired me. I've been working for him. In 3 months, have been with him for 20 years, my longest professional relationship. is working for Dale Dye, and I love working with that guy. But he can make he'll give me a pucker moment when he says my name a certain way. If he says my name is now Gary, I'm good to go. But when I hear son, and I'm like, fuck, I'm in trouble. What did I do wrong? I love that guy. That is good stuff. And again, I want to show you that cover again. Martin's, that's shared off Martin's screen. Do you want to scroll through a few pages, or do you want us not to do that, Pat?
No, you can scroll through, absolutely. I just also wanted to mention that we've done a limited second running of the first issue, so you can pick that up to cover, the background story with him, and we're offering a nice group package deal with it. And like we said, Mike mentioned, it's 20% off tonight on any purchases. So,
Pat, that shot in the head is awesome.
Yeah, it's not gratuitous either. I like that. It's got the modicum of realism, but it's not gratuitous.
Yeah, well, the tarot card was Mike's suggestion. That's why I love doing it in that scene.
I got to show you this one.
Beautiful.
This
beautiful.
cover that Richard Bonk and I did together. He actually did the arc, and I was the airbrush artist, colorist. Call it what you want. I'm doing airbrushing, and that was a fucking awesome cover.
Yeah. Richard does incredibly good stuff. He does.
That's why he and I like working together, because I'll pencil, he'll ink, or he'll pencil, I ink. We've done that on several projects together. I love the guy.
Yeah.
And I love the way he did this cloud back there. So I had fun coloring this.
Yeah.
And he knows I like doing my highlights, especially on the boobs. If you notice, they're very reflective.
Shiny.
My fiance will be annoyed with me, but she knows I have become a titty man thanks to her. So
what?
She's still watching, I think.
Thanks to your fiance?
Yeah, my fiance.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Is she still here?
Man.
Yes, she is.
That's her nickname, but her real name is Danny.
Yeah.
He is awesome. But that's artwork by Rich and me. I always look for opportunities for him and me to work together, and he does too. Like, he's got me a gig. He says, we can work together. In fact, it was that gig. He says, you're the colorist. You color my work so good. And I went, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah. There was an issue of Doom 2099 where John Francis Moore took us to the Savage Land. And I was so excited about that because I got to add dinosaurs into the scenes and just went nuts with it. I think I gave him everything he asked for in his writing, but I revisualized it for him, if you know what I mean. He had, it was classic Jurassic Park stuff.
Right.
I had so many small little dinosaurs popping their heads up out of the grass and shit and just running everywhere through it. It was a real fun story to do. Most of Doom was fun to do. Right up until Warren Ellis came on, it was fun to do. So. Yeah.
Did you say Ellison?
No, Warren Ellis.
Oh, Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
What happened then?
He has a gruff personality, let me say. And he wrote a scene where he had a particular character jumping up on a tabletop and a waterside bar that had Coke, packages of Coke on the table. And he said he slips in the Coke and he falls. And I said, Warren, nobody slips and falls. They fall into Coke. They don't fall off of Coke. And what I did was I just had him tipped the table over when he jumped up on it, overshot it just a bit. And it crashed, coke everywhere, and the character dies. The character was going to die. The character was going to die on the floor, and that was the last shot, the scene that he wanted. So the only thing I changed was the table tip, and got fired off of Dune for doing it.
No shit.
Yeah. But I had he called me from United Kingdom, UK, and he was very heavily accented structural English, very heavy accented at the time, or else he was drunk and in a rage. But he kept saying the word folk, but it was just drawn out, and it was long distance over the phone. And it took me like 5 minutes to figure out, he was saying folk, and that, using that accent on. And I thought, I said, at that point, I thought, I said, man, you really need to study American English and how we enunciate. I said, because, it's pronounced fuck. Okay, fuck. There's no O in it, all right? And, you can draw out the U as far as you want. I'm from the South, okay? But, but yeah, that was my last issue. But Marvel was going through changes at that time. They had already screwed the pooch on the distribution back in the 90s. And
when they went with Diamond Comics, I describe them as using the same principles as the mafia by screwing over the mom and pop operations.
Oh yeah. The combining the orders together, on the order sheet from Diamond. I saw the orders, and what books you had to order to get the X-Men that month, and yeah, it was a strong arm, absolutely. But it's an industry that literally the mob and then mob-like actions has been involved with for such a long time. Any magazine distribution, involving trucks, out in New York, you're going to pay your tribute.
Well, I hear baby girl growling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's telling me that I need to give her some attention here.
Pay attention to me. I'm your dog.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very demanding. She's a sweetie.
Yeah. Pets here tend to be demanding of attention.
Yeah, she's only 2 years old, and watching her personality and intelligence grow this last year and a half has just been amazing to watch. Her vocabulary that she does understand.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the show up for you, but stick around for a couple of minutes because I really wanted to talk to you. I like talking to artists, and you've been at it for a long time, and I know which books of yours I've seen. So it's like, holy crap!
Let me take a 5-minute break with her. I'll stay logged in. I'll just shut the camera off. I need to walk her outside. She's getting frantic, and then I can come back. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But please do come back because I'd like to talk to you some more. I'm sure Martin does too. But we're going to wrap up here, guys. I want to thank everybody for being here today. I hope you enjoyed having Mike and Patrick on. They've met Mike before on our show because Mike, well, we're friends. So I invite him on all the time because I just love the guy. And he really has helped me so much in my own writing because I know I'm a good writer. I just have my doubts.
Mike's very generous. Mike's very generous with what he knows.
Very. I agree wholeheartedly. Don't forget, the link is bronzestarcomic.com. It's up in the top of the chat. Just click that. You can go to the webpage. You can either be a contributor or you can buy some of the 2 books.
Yeah. You can scan, and you can scan the QR code
right there in the corner.
And I was
you
also
can
going
scan
to
that or
add
take it.
the 20% discount code is Bronze Star 20.
Remember that Bronze Star 20,
20.
the number 20, not the word 20.
Right. The number 20.
That's the code for getting your 20% discount, guys. So go at it, man. Support independent creators.
Yes, absolutely.
And I want to thank Snorty, Gambit, Devil Your Momentum, 8743, Penny, Read by Nature, Zax, Janet from, by the way, fuck you, Zax. Janet from Another Planet, Helen Place, Vinkman's Girl. We love you, Vinkman's Girl. You're great. Behrman, Awesome One, and that is it that's been in the chat. And of course, my fiance, Anima Confusa, also known as Danny. Don't ever call her Daniela. She hates that. But don't tell her I said that. Anyway, guys, we will catch y'all later. And I'll see you back in the show in a minute, Pat. Thanks for showing up, man. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Y'all come back now. You hear?
Matt Damon.